Odell was a young guy. Wasn't he a rookie at that point, or was it first or second year or something like that?
I think it might have been his second year. I think it was his second year. And funny story was that when we flew to Miami, we went right from Philly to train, drove to the airport, took off. He was like, man, I don't have any shoes. Like, do you want to wear, like, do you have anything for me to wear? You know, I was always a guy, I'm packing a couple fits, couple whatever. And I was like, I only have these Timbs for you.
No.
So those are actually my boots that he's wearing in the photo, which is even better. It's an even better story, actually.
I ain't got me nobody. I ain't got me no. I got the green light, babe.
All right, so this is one of the most down to earth dudes that was ever like somebody, bro. When Vic played, he set the league on fire. He owned the league for at least a couple years and was a great player. And then the coolest dude you'd want to meet, of course, because you and him came in together.
Yeah, Cruz and Collins.
Yeah.
We happened just to have the last names. That's how the Giants.
That's how they were separated.
That's how they did everything. It was just alphabetical order. There was no favorites or anything like that. And we ended up having lockers next to each other. And it was that journey, being undrafted and kind of watching the lockers around you change every other day, and then you're just like, yo, we're still here.
But you guys hung in there, and so Vic's here, and I just want to welcome you to the show, Vic. Welcome. It's been far too long, dude. We got to get you on the regular. But how you been, man?
I've been good, man. No complaints. It's been dope seeing you guys from afar, doing your thing. Obviously, all through the social channels, seeing you guys do your thing. So that's been a lot of fun. But life is good, man. No complaints. I'm just chilling, golfing my face off every day, having a good time. My daughter's getting bigger by the millisecond. Nate's having more kids, so like we're all growing, man. We're all getting old. We're making it happen.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. Are you in New York? You got some nice modern art in the background.
I got something. I keep it sexy for you guys, man.
You
I'm
do.
gonna do it in front of the art so they see what's going on. I have no idea who this is. My designer came in and was like, this will look nice here. And I was like, you know what?
Those
You're
black
right.
lines will look good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's dope. It works. It's like, so where are you? Are you Manhattan or like, where do you live now?
I'm in Jersey, so I'm right outside the city, right over the GW Bridge. So I'm
Can't dox him. He's too famous.
Yeah, I
for
can't
that.
tell him exactly what
Don't dox him.
Is he in Alpine?
Not far. I play that.
I'll tell you what, if you played today, you signed that big deal 5 for 45. You might be in Alpine. You might be in one of those houses on the.
This is true.
Because golly, man, I told you he set the whole damn league on fire. And this is funny. I texted Justin Tuck this morning to be like, hey, I got Vic on today. Give me some good stories. And he was he goes, he's squeaky clean. So he was looking out for you. And then 10 minutes later, he texted back and he said, ask him why he was the only guy on the boat that had his shirt on.
Oh, God. Jesus. the only blemish, if there is a blemish, Elon, that's the only blemish, dog, right there.
Yeah,
That's the only blemish.
Did you have Tim's on?
I had Tim's on. Listen, we're playing in Philly, for Christ's sake. And we literally drove back. You know, we took the train, I believe, back. And we're all on the train like, yo, we're going to Miami. And I'm looking at guys like, guys, let's just wait a couple weeks. Like, we don't have to go right now. But then I'm also like, look, these kids they're also like locked in. Like, there was nothing I could tell them. Yeah. Now I'm in the mode of like, I just got to go make sure they get back in one piece. Now I'm the dad, right? Now I'm like, all right, if y'all are going to do this, I'm going to go there with y'all, make sure everything's cool so we can get back in one piece at the very least.
It's perfect. As a married guy, you got to at least act like you're that guy in some situations. Like, I'm just there to make sure everybody's good.
It's cool, yeah.
You know, like
just in the corner like this, like I'm not having any fun.
I'm not having any fun at all. Were you guys shocked at how big of a deal that became? Because when I was like, what do I want to ask Vic? Somebody was like, ask him about the boat. And then Justin said, I was like, man, this intrigues me because I actually think it was no big deal. I just think it was just.
Nah, Tim's on the boat is crazy.
The Tim's on the boat.
It wasn't about the Tims.
It wasn't about. It was kind of about the Tims.
Jeez. The Tims kind of took a life of its own after the photo came out. But I was shocked. I was shocked that I was shocked but not surprised. I guess I should say that. Shocked because I'm like, guys, We didn't do anything wrong. It was our off day. We went. We had a good time. We were back in 24 hours. We didn't miss a meeting. We weren't late for anything. No one was in bad shape going into practices. Nothing. Like everything flowed the same way a normal week would flow. Just a little Miami stop in the middle of that.
Just a little Miami stop. People have bye weeks all the time, dude. You're going to tell me they don't get back? And I played really well off my bye weeks.
It's just bad. I feel like it's down week in media. So they find something, and if you're a fan and you don't – I feel like sometimes fans, they don't like to see us having a good time. Regardless if you're winning or losing, sometimes in their head they're like, you should be training right now. You should be doing push-ups. You should be doing sit-ups.
Not possible
you should
that
be
you have enough time
taking
to do
snaps, or you should be in the playbook. That's what they feel like you should be doing when it's in the season. Like throughout the season, they feel like that should be everything you're doing because you need to be at your best to make sure their bets win.
Well, yeah, it's all about the bets and fantasy. Well, fantasy wasn't that big yet, or was it big when you were going off?
It was just climbing. It was just it was in the early phases. Then it was just taking off. I don't even think DraftKings was there yet, all these different brands, but I think it was just taking off at like when those years were happening, when the boat trip happened, for sure.
Got it. Okay. Well, another thing about the boat trip is like you're the Giants, it's the New York media, and like if you're not gonna be on First Take, it's still like an onslaught all week. Like, what was that like? And did you guys have people in the media that you were kind of like, I gotta watch it when this guy comes in because he's gonna try to divide us? Like, what's that like in New York? Because I played in St. Louis for 8 years. When I got to Philly and Boston, I was like, damn, dude, they really care about what we have to say here. You got to be careful.
Yeah, that was a trip. We knew, there was a couple reporters you always knew not to give them anything or not to. Oh, you knew they were going to ask you the tough question or the question about the topic you didn't want to discuss. But you understood that going in. You understood the worst part was that, like, you could handle, at least me, like I'm an older guy at the time. I've been through the ups and downs with the media. I could handle it, right? Like, I just knew we have to win now, though. Like, we have to put a good showing together, win this game, and then it's all put to bed. So it didn't hit the fan for me until we lost, and I was like, damn, they're going to ask me about this boat for the rest of the year, even going into next year, because this is our last game of the season, playoff game, we lost. Now it's going to roll over into next year, and the first question I got, training camp the following year was, are you going to be a different leader this year and not go to Miami? I'm like, guys, we haven't even had a preseason game yet.
Damn.
So let me jump ahead to week 17.
Exactly.
Right? Are you going to be in Miami? Odell was a young guy. Wasn't he a rookie at that point, or was it first or second year or something like that?
I think it might have been his second year. I think it was his second year. And funny story was that when we flew to Miami, we went right from Philly to train, drove to the airport, took off. He was like, man, I don't have any shoes. Like, do you want to wear, like, do you have anything for me to wear? I was always a guy, I'm packing a couple fits, couple whatever. And I was like, I only have these Timbs for you.
No.
So those are actually my boots that he's wearing in the photo, which is even better. It's an even better story, actually.
Oh, that
great. Is crazy.
So there was a time when Odell didn't have clothes like that.
Well, I wouldn't say that, Chris, okay? I would just say that at the time, given the circumstance, he wasn't. And me, being the wily veteran that I was at the time, I'm always ready.
What was Odell like as a rookie? And, like, you know how they talk about seeing George Pickens in practice, making these circus catches, like, just wait. Was there a time when y'all were like, just wait, you're going to see this guy from LSU, and it's going to shock you?
100%. I think if anybody remembers, he came into our training camp a little hurt. So he didn't even practice a lot. He was kind of rehabbing, kind of getting himself back together. And I remember the first practice that he had with us. And they were easing him in, obviously taking care of him, but giving him a couple reps. First play from scrimmage, it was like, look, we're going to send him on a deep post, and we're going to see what this guy does. And he sent him on a deep post. Eli airs one out, and he literally, it was back of the end zone, reached out with one hand, gripped the nose of the ball, tucked it in, did a flip, stood up on 2 feet and looked into like the offices of the Giants building and was just nodding like, y'all see it. And I was like, I think we found our guy. I think this
the
is
way
the guy
he rolled. he rolled and stood up, and he's looking right at the GM's office. It's
Correct.
They're
like,
probably
Just
in there,
looking
they
up.
probably were in there going,
yeah, or
got one. Yes.
shit, we're gonna have to pay this guy.
Yeah. They also was like, we probably should let Victor go so we can free up someone.
I've been in that situation, man, with the young guys coming along, and you're like, damn, dude. But, like, what's it like being, former teammate of his and seeing him in Baltimore? I feel like I really like the fit. I thought the offense looked really good yesterday. What can he do for Lamar that people might not realize?
I think he just provides that explosiveness, right? Like, I know they got Zay Flowers over there as well, but he provides a level of explosiveness and a level of insurance from a receiver position that I don't think Lamar's really had up until this point. Like, to line up every play and be like, okay, I got a guy that if everything goes wrong, I can trust him to throw the ball up in his direction, and he's going to make a play for me and might make it a touchdown on top of that. So I think he provides a whole different element. I love the fit as well. And then just seeing him progress over the years, man, he's a vet, which is like insane to see it from the beginning all the way to this progression. He's been through the ups and downs of the league, right? He's been through the injuries, coming back, switching teams. So he understands the business side of it now. So I think he's approaching the game so much differently. And I was just happy to be someone that he could lean on early on and really just like pick my brain about different things, especially starting off your career in New York. It's not easy, man. It's not easy being injured early on as a rookie, coming through that, playing well, having success, and then switching teams, having the turmoil with the GMs and the front office and all of that good stuff, and then having to switch teams. It's just that could weigh on you as a young guy coming up. So the fact that he was able to battle through that, win himself a Super Bowl, come out the other end of that, and now he's in the second half of his career with Baltimore, I'm excited to see where it goes.
What do you think about what it's like to be a Giant right now? If that game ended at halftime, I feel like you wouldn't even want to go back to New York. I mean, what's the outlook, and how hard can it be when you guys are struggling?
Those first 6 quarters of this year, man, I need to get my heart resuscitated, like after those first 6 quarters, man, because it was just tough to watch. It felt like, who is this team? Like, this isn't the team that I saw last year coming off of beating Minnesota in the playoffs and then putting up a fight and then, putting up the points that they were putting up, the defense being what they were last year. I was like, this team is going to take a step. And the first 6 quarters didn't say so, but those last 2, that third and fourth quarter, I think really indicated what this team is and really indicated how much Daniel Jones is just a baller. Like, he might not impress you with his arm and do it the way we want him to do it and do it the way it's traditional. He's just a gamer, dog. Like, he's tough. He can use his legs. He's got weapons all over the field now to throw the ball to, and you see a different Daniel Jones now that he's got some guys around him now too. He's got some guys that he can depend on. Jalen Hyatt coming into the game and providing a spark. Like, we got guys all over the roster now that can play, and I think that third and fourth quarter is what's more indicative of what I think this Giants team will be. And now it's up to Coach Daboll to kind of keep them on this level so that they don't have these lulls like they did in the first half.
Is it safe to say, and this is a relevant question if you look at Kansas City and some of these teams that have big turnover in the wide receiver room, because, like at the end of last year, Daniel Jones thrown to a lot of guys we hadn't heard of. Well, now Hodgins is more of a known commodity. You mentioned Hyatt, you bring in Waller, but the receiver room still needs to get better through the year, and I'm wondering how and can a receiver room get better throughout the year? Like Rashee Rice and those guys in Kansas City, like that's going to be a work in progress. What goes into improving the connectivity between a quarterback and a wide receiver room through a year?
That's a good question. I think it's communication for the most part. I think it's understanding and communicating how you want these things done. And I think from a coaching perspective, it's delineating who are the guys. I think you're seeing Shep in the game, Jalen getting his snaps, Paris Campbell in the game as well, Slayton's in the game. Like, we need to define who our 3 wide receivers are going to be and who our 4th wide receiver is going to be when he comes into the game. And then we can operate holistically from there. I think, you're seeing different guys kind of being in and out and kind of doing different packages for different guys, which I understand because we're deep. I think there's a luxury that we haven't had for a while. But I do like roles. I think roles are important on a football team. And I think especially micro teams on the, position groups are micro teams. You get in that receiver room,
Right.
you get in that linebacker room, you get in that D-line room. That's a whole nother team you got in there. So I think it works and it helps when you're in those receiver rooms, delineating who the guys are, and then everyone else can relax and kind of operate within their role.
It's like who does what well, what kind of routes are we going to run with this guy? When we going to this guy in a man beater, short yardage situation? I feel like that's got to be harder to shake out in today's NFL. I know the passing game is easier to replicate in camp than the run game, but with the CBA, the way it changed, and I don't remember what your first year was, maybe 09?
2010, yeah.
10.
Bro,
So,
two-a-days, we were in the trenches.
got 1 year of it, bro.
In the trenches. That was for real.
But you really run your offense a bunch, and there is more contact and that sort of thing. Is it harder in today's NFL? Did you notice your first couple years out of that CBA to get on the same page in the passing game than it was when you had more reps? Is that a bigger challenge?
It's definitely a bigger challenge because not only do you have less reps, but it was shorter. Training camp was like 2 weeks, and then you're into the flow of like weekly games and preparation, and you're technically out of camp. You're still technically in it, from a practice perspective and obviously from a team numbers wise, but it was still very much preparation. So it's definitely a little bit more difficult. And then now, you take an undrafted guy now to try to make a team is even harder because how are you going to get the reps? Like, I was a guy that was lucky enough to like I got the reps, dog. Like there were vets that didn't, how it goes. Some vets don't practice often. You get bumped up the stat sheet. Next thing you know, I'm in the huddle with Eli, and I'm like, okay, this is happening. This is happening.
You gotta steal reps any way you can.
Any way you can. Oh, you ain't going? Perfect. I'll take those reps. Yeah.
I was playing.
Just tap this helmet.
Yeah. I was playing scout offense to get reps.
Yeah,
correct.
You were probably annoying as hell on scout offense.
What?
Yo, they hated him.
Really?
T-Lon, they absolutely hated Nate on the offense.
Did.
Yo. Hated him.
What would he used to do? He just try to block people.
Just walling people. So like when he decided to be like, okay, I'm just gonna wall you now, and then he'd like on offense, like kick sliding, walling dudes, and just maul, and then he just maul them after that.
In the red penny.
And then shout out to OC. OC used to put the battery in my back with Justin Tuck, and when he knew I was gonna play scout offense, he would be like, Nate,
oh my God.
He goes, if you pancake Tuck, he goes, I'll give you $1,000.
Did you ever get a stack?
And then one day, the day he told me this too, and he goes, and every time you lock him up, because one day, like just joking around, I really locked Tuck up, and he wasn't trying. But like me, like I'm always gonna go hard in practice.
You're always gonna try.
And so, he was like, yo, every time you stop him, the D-line coach actually said something about it and was just like, you can't get past Nate.
Yeah.
You can't get past Nate. And OC was like, yo, if you do it again, Nate, he goes, every time you block him, he's like, I'll give you 100. He's like, if you pancake him, I'll give you 1,000. And the next practice, Tuck destroyed me.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me stop playing.
We're dead in that, dude. We're dead in that. The first practice, I'm taking a little Toradol for that practice, and I'm gonna fuck you up.
Tuck was done. He was done. He was done with it. After
Did that D-line room? Did that Vic and Nate too? Did that group just run the building?
Oh, they had the most money. It was always
Exactly,
money.
that's the way it's set up.
Whoever has the bread, and we called it. They all have they had the left side of the locker room. So we're like, oh, it's money row. We walk up as Money Row, guys. Keep the voices down, and keep your feet light when you walk through here. This is Money
You
Row.
better.
And then the funniest thing about that is our other fellow rookie at the time, JPP.
Oh yeah,
he had just got paid, and he was one of those rookies. He was the rookie that if anyone said like just the regular rookie stuff, carry my pads, he'd be like, "How much money do you make?" As a rookie.
This was pre like new CBA, so he got big money back then. So he was making a lot
he was
more.
gonna be good.
Yeah, he knew he was gonna be good.
But
did he pay for the rookie dinner?
Oh yeah, they did. Him and Linville. So I got lucky because I had the first rounder and the second rounder in my group D-line group.
A blessing.
And so they were
Big
like,
time blessing.
I just had to do the stuff like go pick up the food, everything like that. They had to pay, which was a huge blessing for me.
Buddy, I remember my rookie year. I got picked high, and I just remember getting a text from a buddy. Is like, you're gonna have to pick up that rookie dinner. It's gonna hurt. And then the rest of the draft, I'm like, draft some more defensive guys. And they didn't draft a fucking linebacker until the 6th. I was me and a couple guys who were like, I'm not making much, man. And I had to pick up like the whole damn thing. Vic, was the rookie dinner bad for the wide receivers? I could figure the old NFL, old Giants with those stingy old vets. Maybe they took it easy on you. But somebody had to get hit hard.
No, we were good because there was. I mean, if you think about it, we were still relatively young. Hakeem Nicks was still first, second year guy. Mario Manningham was still like year 3 or 2 or something like that. Then we had Ramses Barden, Steve Smith. Remember Ramses?
Look at these names,
Yes.
dude.
These names are crazy. Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Steve Smith was there, but he was only like year 4 or 5.
Yep.
So he still didn't really care. And if you knew Steve Smith, he didn't really care. Like,
He wasn't
care about
even
any of that.
do it.
So I kind of got out unscathed on that one because I was it was the DBs. The DBs were trying to reel me into their dinner so I could pay. I'd be like, nope, I'm good with my
The
clan right over
DBs.
here.
Oh, hey, Vic, you want to join
Yeah,
us?
you want to join our dinner? No, I'm good.
I have
think I'm
mono.
okay.
All right. So you know, you guys bring up being undrafted. Both you guys undrafted came in together. It's really cool. I got the Young Wales stuff
Looks
on
good,
right now. It's
too,
vintage
still
gear.
looks good.
It's still, you didn't think I still have one. I got one, bro.
And
It's a comfy
it's in good
t-shirt.
shape too, which is
In great
surprising.
shape, dude. It could go for 300 on the street right now. but I'm not letting it go. Okay, so you guys are both undrafted. Remember, you guys had Hard Knocks. And Hard Knocks is different.
No, we didn't have Hard Knocks.
No, you were
It
playing
was
against
actually-
somebody.
yeah,
who's-
Jets had it
the
again.
Jets again.
Correct.
So Vic goes off on Hard Knocks, and obviously people aren't like watching every preseason game, but it is New York football. It's Jets,
Oh
Giants.
no, but it was the opening of MetLife.
Okay,
too.
so it's a big deal.
huge.
First
deal.
So
game
my-
ever. Yeah.
You picked a good time to go off, and my question would be, how were the DMs after the game? And like just being a superstar in New York, was there like a flood? Like there were a lot of them Saturday night, and then when Hard Knocks came out, was it like, yo, dude, I can't even get through these things?
Yeah, it was a lot. I remember showing Nate. We were on the bus. We're very sad and upset that right after that game, all the rookies.
Obviously.
We had to go back to
Had to go
Schenectady,
back.
Oh
New
yeah,
York.
tell me about that real quick.
After we're all on the high, we're all in the locker room. We just won the first game in MetLife
Yeah.
against the Jets.
And they were whispers still, they're like, "Oh, they might let us stay. Or they're letting us stay."
oh, that's
we're
the
like,
word.
fourth quarter, we're like,
Stay.
"Coach is gonna let us stay."
And when they said, "Yo, you guys get to stay here. You guys just need to be back in whatever, blah blah," everyone's like, "Yeah!"
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Rookies on the bus."
Oh,
We were sick. I was like, "No."
and you had to go to curfew too.
Bro, there's nothing to do. No, we were in dorms.
Schenectady.
We
there
were
was
at
13
Albany
rookies.
University.
There was like 20 rookies back at the dorms. No one else is there. It's just me and my phone. I'm cycling through Twitter responses, and I'm hitting up my family on text messages because Instagram wasn't really a thing yet, to be honest.
No, it wasn't. Nope.
So it was Twitter was live and flooding, and my text messages were going crazy, and I'm in Schenectady, New York, staring at the walls.
Yeah.
His text and Twitter were going ham.
Oh.
Me and Victor before this game, this is no lie. I have the same Twitter that still has no motion.
Yeah, you guys had the same.
me and Victor at the time, I think I had like 500 to 1,000 more followers than Victor.
Facts. That's a fact.
And we used to go back and forth laughing. And after that game, LeBron James tweeted during the game, "Who is this Team Vic guy?" And actually added him. He didn't
He
fake
looked
him.
me up. He looked me
looked
up
him
and
up,
added me.
found
Yeah.
his handle, added him, and I think Vic had he got 80,000 followers or something from that.
Oh,
was
dude.
blown
It was
away.
Through the roof.
game
Blown
over.
away.
Over.
How about LeBron tweeting at you? I mean, like when LeBron chooses you on a Sunday, it's like the other night he chose
That kid.
He chose the kid for Colorado State.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
a good LeBron tweet
No,
to have happen about
Travis,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, but you know when LeBron tweets about you, you made it.
No,
Yeah,
for
that was
sure.
a moment.
We were on that bus ride home and
Going
he was like-
nuts.
He was like, "Yo, Nate, look." I was like, "What?" He was like, "LeBron tweeted this." And I was like, "Yo, no way."
Damn, dude.
I remember just literally I'm over the back of the bus chair looking at Nate just going through tweets, and I'm showing Nate like, "Nate, look, I can't believe," showing him every 5 minutes. Every time I refresh, There's
Yeah.
like 40 more posts, more retweets, and I'm just like, yo, I can't even relax. I don't even know what to do right now.
Well, that's the thing. You play in New York, you never know who's watching you. I remember I used to ball out against New Orleans and be like, I wonder if Lil Wayne's watching and just dog cussing me. I'd love that, but like nobody's there. He's not going to tweet at you. You play in New York and you ball out. Like, were you meeting people left and right that you were like, damn, this is incredible. I'm famous. You're not thinking that way, but like the celebrities, man, like who's the coolest person that in person came up and was like, yo, I love your game?
Oh my God! I mean, the biggest thing. Jay-Z for one of them, for starters, and like
so cool,
being able to like sign, and then later signing to like his sports agency, and then sitting in a room with him. And my only question in the entire meeting, they had like 4 people speak. He spoke, and I go like, why me? Like, of all the athletes you could choose in New York City or in the world, like why me? And for starters, like why am I the decision? And he goes, well, up until this point, you've done everything that I would do if I were in your shoes. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, okay.
Wow.
Noted.
Cool.
Where do I sign? Where do I sign?
You were like,
Immediately.
And he was cool. Like,
He was
cool.
He was
easy,
super
remember?
cool. He's just a fan. Like they have Sports Center burned into their TVs in their offices. They don't watch anything else. They're just tapped into the game. And when he obviously started to see me rise, the good thing about Jay, right, is that like he's still connected to the streets too. So as good as I was doing on the field, he wanted to know what I was like when I was outside in New York City, moving around, when I'm meeting different people that know him that I may not know him.
Right,
and he's asking around. He was like, yo, Vic's everything he got back was like, Vic's a good dude and a humble cat and a good dude to align with. And I was just
man,
like,
that's so cool. That's so cool. Jay came to St. Louis one time for a game. The only person that could bring him to the Edward Jones Dome was Todd Gurley. And he was in our locker room after the game, and people were like, what the fuck? Like, why? We got this picture with him, 40 shirtless dudes mugging up with Jay-Z. Jay's like, what the fuck am I doing here? Where's Todd Gurley? So, we crossed paths. Talking about, New York football, another thing, the Jets in a situation right now like they're in with Zach Wilson, like, there was the back and forth last year with some, hey, looks, showing up the quarterback a little bit when it was the quarterback who's fucking it up. But, the receiver code of, like, no hands up, no palms up, no showing your guy up. There was some stuff like that last year. I thought Garrett Wilson's done a great job, all things considered, of being classy as fuck because his career's in this guy's hands, and he's not throwing him the ball. I mean, he is, but who knows where it is. And I'm wondering – if you ever had issues or instances where you had to navigate tension socially between a quarterback and the receivers, I figure not because of Eli, but how does that go in that room socially? How bad can it be when the connection's not there?
Yeah, it could get really bad, and it's and it's up to the leadership group in those rooms to kind of continue to right the ship and keep it on track because it can go left quick. And like you said, these are livelihoods, man. These are like people who got mouths to feed. People need to perform well on this football field so that they can provide for their families. And the quarterback has the wide receivers' jobs in his hands, essentially. Like, if you don't throw me the ball, I'm not going to produce. I'm not going to get paid. It's as simple as that. So, and I think that's what Garrett Wilson is thinking. That's what he's about. You know what I mean? And he wants to win now. He sees his window, everybody's window in the NFL is small. Like, he wants to win now while he's got the team. He sees the team that's around him. And he's like, we got the talent to do it. We're just a quarterback away. And it's a tough position to be in, but it's about that leadership group to keep everybody's heads on straight. And the quarterback has to find ways to play better. And it's up to the coaching staff too, Yeah,
no question. Another kind of guy who was going through it in Tony, Kadarius Toney in Kansas City. And you start the season off 3 drops in the big ball game that everybody's watching. And I think he's the guy that actually gives them a differentiating factor outside. Like, he's sloppy right now. He put the ball on the ground yesterday. He's obviously going through it a little bit. He deleted his Twitter. Sauce Gardner joined him a week later. But, obviously the guy's going through it. How mental can that be when you drop a couple? Is it like a baseball player in a slump? Is it just like, how do you – because I always figure when you guys make these tough catches, for somebody who doesn't catch the football, I'm like, are these automatic catches? I don't know how they're catching these fucking balls. And, I understand, like, dropping balls. But for a receiver, it's your livelihood. What is that like when it happens?
It's tough. I've been there. I've had 3 drops against the Cowboys week 1. I've been there. Like, I've had those ups and downs, and I've had those moments where you're like, man, and in New York City where, like, people are going to rip you apart to shreds, you know? So for me, it was just like, all right, let's get back to the drawing board. Let's get on this jug machine. Let's work extra. Let's work harder. Let's focus a little bit more, focus a little bit differently, try different drills, do different things to get myself prepared. Like, you're a professional. Do everything you did to get yourself to this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't just, you didn't just roll over and become a pro. You had to work at it. You had to perfect your craft. And I remember I just couldn't wait for the next week. I could not wait for the next week because I knew I wanted to put my best foot forward. I knew I was going to be prepared. And I remember the next week was Tampa Bay. And Hakeem had 212 and I had 189 and 2 tutties. And Hakeem had a tut. Like, we went crazy. Granted, that's because Eli threw 3 picks, but that's neither here nor neither here nor there. We had to fight from behind all day. We had to fight from behind that day. But I used to also love those games where we had to fight because I knew we're gonna throw the ball. You know Eli's gonna find you. He's got to drop back and get you the rock. So I used to love those come from behind days.
It's funny because it's kind of similar. D linemen and wide receivers, we kind of hope for the same thing in games. Yeah. Because when they're doing that means we get the rush.
Yeah,
that means we just get the rush.
And they get like the Houston situation yesterday where Stroud throws for 380. I know he played well, but it's just like a lot of garbage time as they call it. But can a guy become a pro? Because you seem like you were a pro from the beginning, right? It's ingrained in you. You have your work habits. I'm not saying Tony's not a pro. But his track record's one that's like mixed bag on kind of getting along and that sort of thing. Have you played with guys that you were like they were just train wrecks as rookies and then they learned how to be a pro?
I think not necessarily a train wreck, but Odell was some of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. He had himself a little bit more put together, I would say, but he definitely had his fair share of ups and downs that we kind of had to right the ship in the locker room. Yeah, and just have conversations. It wasn't nothing more than just having a convo and letting him know what he's worth, not only to this team and this organization, but to himself. And what that means to him and how he wants to be portrayed moving forward. And like, screw the media, man. Screw who's talking. Screw who's going to ask you these questions. Worry about you. Worry about how your family perceives you. Worry about how, your teammates and your family here within the building perceive you. Like, that's what's important. That's what's going to carry you through. And I think those conversations helped him immensely. And I think Kadarius Toney's one of those guys that, I heard some rumblings when he was with the Giants, obviously for that cup of coffee, when he was saying different things, behaving a certain way, responding to certain things from the coaching staff a certain way, where it's like, you got to kind of earn that a little bit. You got to kind of earn the right to say those things a little bit. You can't come in out the gate and because you're a high pick or you're somebody that they've invested some money into, you just can say and do whatever you feel. You got to earn that. You got to earn that on the football field. You got to earn that with your teammates in the locker room. And then once you start to put some production up and you start to show us that you're all in on this thing, then you can have a little bit more say. And I think that's where he just needs to grow up a little bit.
You just made me think about Kenny Golladay, and I'm just hoping he's doing good. I have no idea what's going on with him, but I felt for him last year. I mean,
Same,
I was just thinking about that. I was thinking about that wide receiver room and just Tony to be so talented, but to be cut loose and not used, like that really spoke to how dysfunctional maybe it was. And I actually listened to his music. I like Young Joker. Okay.
Oh,
yeah, I think he's all right.
You know what, man? Okay. Young Joker? Is that his rap name?
Yes,
Young
bro.
Joker?
Yeah, go check it out. It's on Spotify, bro. He's not on Twitter, but he is on Spotify.
I'll give him a stream.
And he's on Instagram, too.
I'll go give him a stream.
Give him a stream, bro. It's not that he could use it. He's got a lot of streams. Okay, single digits, man, because a lot of guys are going the single-digit route. You were number 3, I guess, in preseason.
Mad.
Yeah, what happened with that? And do you think the guys look good in single digits now?
Well, I think they look good. The swag in me loves it, right? Like, I'm like single digits all day. But then, like, the fan in me is like, who's that? Is that Daniel Jones? Did he change it? I don't know who that is. Like, you can't figure out who some of these guys are now because they changed their numbers and things like that. But I'm actually just jealous, to be honest, man. If I got to rock the number 3, like on the field,
3
like
looks
just
good.
3 looks so clean.
Does Shep wear 3?
Shep wears 3, and he looks so clean.
Are you just so like kind of mad at him when you see him? When you see Shep, or you
every
like,
time I see, because me and Shep kind of had the same body type.
Yeah,
in the frame.
yeah. I like.
I'm
Shep,
looking
yeah.
at him and I'm like, that's what I would have looked like in my jersey. Like,
Yeah.
the worst part.
He had that
the worst
clunky
part-
80.
That's how I feel about Brian Burns and Zero. It's we look the same out there.
No, the 80 story is it's just ridiculous. So I remember making the team, right? And I'm ecstatic. I'm coming in. I'm like, I didn't get a call. I'm coming in the next day, Vince McMahon strut. You know what I mean? Like coming through the locker room. And I'm like, all right, I can't wait to see this number 3 jersey with my practice. Now, and also, Nate, you already know, we had blue High School Musical lockers, like in the middle of the joint. And now you made the team, you get
you get your real locker.
Yeah.
We finally get our real
I could charge,
locker.
I could charge
Bambi.
my
Yeah,
phone.
my
I could
phone.
charge my phone.
Oh shit.
I
He
could
didn't have chargers. Oh my god!
I can charge my phone now, man. It was a
Yeah,
game
that's pretty
changer.
good.
So I get to my locker and I look up and I see 80. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I'm like, you know what? I'm undrafted, guys. I can't choose.
say
I'm
anything.
just putting this jersey on. And I never forget walking out and OC was like, 80. OC's like 80. I guess you're gonna have to make it work. And I was like, I guess I will. And here we are, 8 years later. Crazy.
OC's the reason I wore 72. Well, I didn't have a choice because there weren't any fucking numbers left. But I was like, OC looks cool in it. And I tried the chop clubs and everything. It just didn't work the same, So for him to come at you wearing 72 about the 80 is kind of crazy.
I had 75, and that other than your pops, like I didn't know
Kyle's
anyone.
gonna take umbrage.
Kyle wasn't in the league yet, though,
No,
so he can't
wasn't.
say
You're
that.
right, you're
He
right.
can't say that.
75 is not the worst. Remember Jaquay Parker? He played defensive end in Philly back in the day. He might be a little older
But
than
for
you, Vic,
but for inside, bro, I'm a one technique.
you're right. It's a little bit. It's a little
hazy.
So.
C-Long, how do you
different.
feel? There's a lot of D, and Nate, you too. There's a lot of D linemen out there in numbers 0 and 1.
He hates it.
So I do hate. Well, here's what I hate: like knee jerk changing your number just because you can. Like there were certain guys last year that I was like, oh, you just did that to do it. One looks terrible. Your jersey looks huge. You look like kind of.
It's marketing.
I
It's
forgot
cool,
who
bro.
you are. No, I get it. I know you're a big marketing guy. But my thing is, like Brian Burns looks sweet in 0. I don't think there's a cooler looking player in the league than DeAndre Swift right now. He might look like the coolest motherfucker in the NFL. Okay, so when it works, it works. But then when Josh Jacobs goes out there and puts that 8 on his chest, and the 8 is the size of his chest because the font's all fucked up, he's rushing for -2 yards, you're like, what's going on? Maybe you change your number because you're like, it's going to be bad this year.
Yo, Chris doesn't know it, but he low key body shames on like
Body shames.
if you're wearing a single digit jersey, I think it's a body.
I'm going to shame
shaming thing.
that outfit. Here's what I want to do. Hey, my mom needs her drapes back. Dude, she called me and asked it.
Don't hate.
I'm not hating, bro. I'm not hating. I got the young whales on. This is timeless.
You guys both look great. Nate is very Nate. Nate, if anyone knows Nate, Nate's been dressing like this forever. This isn't new.
So tell me something I don't know about Nate, maybe. Take a shot.
Oh my goodness, man. You know what surprised me about Nate? I'll give you this one story about Nate. I remember I was, we were in training camp. We're just met each other that year. We're hanging out. We're already best friends at this point, hanging out every day. And I was like, you know what, Nate? I'm going to take you to meet some women down in Washington Heights.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to take you down to Dykeman and just see how he responds. Brought him around.
Just put him
when
in the
I
deep
tell
water.
you, they love him. They embraced him with open arms, and to the point where I will call you. We have days off, and I'd be like, "Yo, Nate, I haven't seen you in a couple. Where you at?" I was like, "Oh, I just shot over to Dykeman real quick. I'm just hanging out for a little. Hanging out. I brought you there one time, and you're already making friends hanging out.
Oh, he's going to take you down there. Now, hey, Vic,
I'm
I
the
want to
guest.
take you down to Washington Heights.
A funny story about that is at that time I had just we're in camp.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my mother's Easy Pass in my car, and I was wigging out going through the tolls. And my mom's like, "What are you doing right now on my Easy Pass?" She's like, "How is it?" She was like, "You're paying." She was like, "You're in the NFL now. Take it off. Put like." She was like, "You need to get a credit card and put it on there now because you're not going to be doing this." She's like, "How are you going back from New Jersey to New York this many times in a week?"
It's like $50 a week. My guy was doing. It was serious.
He brought you to the heights, man.
Crazy.
He brought you to the heights.
That was
That's
great.
a fucking good one, dude. Hey, I'm not surprised though. That's the thing. I'm not surprised at all. All right, my last question for you, Vic, and we'd love to have you back another time too, because it's great catching up. But you know, when it came to when it comes to today's receivers, I know there's like guys that I like at defensive end, and invariably it's always like the guy that reminds you of you sometimes. It's like, you know, you like the guys that are great, but I'm like, yeah, you know, I can't relate.
Yeah.
But for you, you know, who are the elite slot guys or elite guys that can catch balls in the middle of the field that you're like, man, I really like this guy. He might remind me of me and some of the dirty work I had to do. Is there somebody that you identify with that's in the league now?
There's a couple guys, and you know, it's funny because the slot guys are kind of everything guys now. Like Stephon Diggs,
like the
10
best
years
players.
ago, would be a slot guy. Like technically, if you had the category, but he plays everywhere. He's outside.
He plays everywhere.
He's inside. He does it all. So between Diggs, and I know he's injured this year and stuff, but Cooper Kupp has always been one of my favorite guys to just watch play the game. He plays the receiver position just the way it's supposed to be played. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like gritty, strong, catches the ball out of the sky, and then just does some really great things. And then Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase, another guy that can play any and everywhere. You can put him wherever you want, and he has the ability and the skill level to run every route in the book. He can go up against linebackers and run those intermediate routes, and he could take the top off too. So I just like the guys now that are slots and could do everything, you know?
What's the young guy's name from LA that's going crazy? Nanuka?
Oh, Puka Nakua. That guy can play, dude.
Nakua.
He might be the next Victor Cruz, bro.
Yo, how do you
I love
like
it.
25 catches in his first 2 games? He's breaking records. That's crazy.
Dude's
Yo,
awesome.
It's just amazing when you give a guy, like, as an undrafted guy, especially coming from, like, 1AA, we always said this, like, give us some facilities and give us, like, a pool in our locker room or something, and you're going to see a different guy, because all guys need is an opportunity, and some guys don't make the best of it, but the guys that do and appreciate it and put their ability on display, good things usually happen from that.
Well, you brought up the AA, but like, you know, Travis Hunter and those guys coming from Jackson State, I know it's not a clean analogy necessarily, but, you know, there's a big carryover. Good football players can play at any level. And, you know, Shador was like, I don't read the jersey or the name on the jersey. Like, you know, I think the small school guys, there's got to be some trick to finding them. But when you find them, they're just as good as everybody else and maybe better, because all of a sudden, hey, it's not just, hey, I was playing against maybe less talented defenses, but now I got a great quarterback, great playmakers around me, the whole thing. So I'm loving watching Colorado.
I love watching college. I love what Coach Sanders is doing out there with those kids. You can tell they just love him. They appreciate him. They appreciate what he brings to them as a coach. He's fun. Like, I'm watching these highlights and clips on Instagram or on TV. I'm like, I want to go play for this guy. And you're starting to see other athletes. Like, I just saw, what was that? Etienne tweeted. He was like, maybe my little brother needs to go play with Prime. Like, and you're gonna start seeing that more and more and more. So, but yeah, man, I think my head coach in high school, I'll never forget the first thing he said to me was like, if you are good, the NFL will find you. You could be anywhere in the world. The NFL is going to find you, and you will be playing on Sundays. And I was like, that's what led me to go to UMass. I mean, it was also my only scholarship, but that was like, if I do well here, they'll find me, and they found me.
They found you, bro. We found him. Victor Cruz.
Cruz.
Legend, dude. It's great to see you, bro. We got to get up soon.
Definitely, man.
We got to come up for a game and check in on you.
Yeah, it was definitely good talking to you. Appreciate you taking the time, man.
Thank you.
Always
definitely
a pleasure,
got to get you on. And I'm not gonna lie, I got to get you on my
Facts and the King.
My Facts and the King show too.
Yeah. See,
Okay.
like, you didn't realize that we're gonna double book you now. It's a fucking trap.
All good.
All right.
No,
Just
I
let me know,
appreciate you,
Nate,
man.
so I could bring the matching floral shirt too, so we can catch the same. Be on the same page.
That's
We
good.
can coordinate next time. I got you.
And I
bro.
hit you with the Spider-Man point on the screen.
Yo, Cruz,
Good to see you, man. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure, guys. Be safe.